Welcome to IAS project. In this video, let's talk about religion that was existing during early Vedic period. We will try to cover the religion during early Vedic period in two short lectures. Let's get started. If we talk about Rig Vedic Aryans, that is nothing but early Vedic Aryans, they mainly worshipped natural forces. For example, they worshipped earth, fire, wind, rain, thunder, mountains, rivers, lakes, and all these kind of natural forces and natural entities that are available in the environment. Moreover, these people also personified these natural forces. Personification of natural forces means that, for example, if there was fire, they considered that this fire is a person, and they said that this person is nothing but the fire god. Similarly, they considered wind as a wind god, and rain as a rain god, thunder as a thunder god. This is the meaning of the word personification here. So in order to worship these natural forces, they personified these natural forces into gods, and then they worshipped these gods. In Rig Veda, in fact, we have many gods that are mentioned. Now let's talk about some of the important Rig Vedic gods. The most important Rig Vedic god was Indra, that is nothing but the thunder god. So the thunder god Indra was basically the most prominent god during the early Vedic period. There was no god who was above the god Indra or the thunder god. The next important god was Agni. So Agni was nothing but the fire god. So we can say that after Indra, it was Agni, the fire god, who was the second most important god. When we say important and second important, we are actually not rating these gods. What we are doing is, we are simply analyzing how many suktas or how many hymns have been dedicated for the praise of Indra and for the praise of Agni. So this means that the god Indra was praised more number of times compared to Agni within the Rig Veda. Similarly, if we say the next important gods were Varuna and Vayu, then we mean that Varuna and Vayu were praised comparatively less compared to Agni and even compared to Indra. That is why we are using the word prominent. So the bottom line is, Indra god or the thunder god was praised more number of times compared to any other god in the Rig Veda. That is why we say that Indra was the most prominent god during Rig Vedic period. So Agni was the second most important god, and Agni was basically considered as the intermediary between gods and people. This is very important, because what early Vedic people believed was, when they were doing sacrifices or offerings to Agni, then they believed that these offerings and sacrifices, when they were put in Agni, then they turned into smoke, and this smoke reached other gods in the sky. This is how they believed that whatever they were offering was going to other gods through Agni. So Agni was considered as the intermediary between gods and people. You can see a representative image here. So whatever they were offering, it is basically turning into smoke and it is reaching other gods. This picture is only for representation purpose. Not only this, fire was also very important for Aryans, because fire was very important for burning forests, and by burning forests, Aryans brought the land under cultivation. Moreover, in our previous lectures, we have also learnt that fire cult was very important not only in the Aryans but also in Iran, where people were practicing Zoroastrianism. So we can say that fire was very important and sacred in all the Indo-Iranians. Indo-Iranians means the Aryans who went to India and also the Aryans who went to Iran. So the god Varuna was basically the god of rain and god of water. Moreover, Varuna god was considered as the upholder of natural order. So he was very important. So whenever Varuna god wanted, he has sent floods in the rivers, and because of these floods, destruction happened. However, this destruction was a part of natural order. And the god of this natural order was none other than Varuna god. Another important god was Soma. Soma was basically the god of plants. We already talked about Soma drink that was made from the juice of Soma plant. By mixing the juice of Soma plant with barley water, milk, ghee and some other material, they made Soma drink. If we talk about drinks that were consumed during early Vedic period, then two drinks are very important. They are nothing but Soma and Sura. Both of these drinks were alcoholic beverages. But there was a difference between these two. Soma had religious sanction. It means that soma was consumed during sacrifices. Moreover, priests also approved soma. We have also learnt in our previous lectures that Aryans believed that even gods like Indra and Agni also consumed soma. And by consuming soma, Aryans believed that they will get immortality. That is why soma was called as Amrita. Amrita basically is a drink that will make people immortal when they consume it. So soma was considered as Amrita. The other drink was Sura, and this was not approved by the priests. If we talk about Indo-Iranians, that is nothing but the Aryans in India and Aryans in ancient Iran, then cult of fire was important for both these people. Other than cult of fire, soma drink was also popular in both these peoples. We have learnt in our previous lecture that in ancient Iran, soma was called as haoma. So soma in the case of North India and haoma in the case of ancient Iran both mean the same thing. That is nothing but the soma drink, the juice of soma plant. So both these things were prevalent in the Indo-Aryan language people. Another important god, or let's say gods, were Maruts. Maruts were basically the god of strength. They also personified storm. In Rig Veda, it was believed that there are somewhere around 27 to 36 Maruts gods. So these gods basically personified storm and they were considered as gods of strength. Another type of gods were Ashwins. Ashwins were basically twin gods. So the twin Ashwin gods were considered as the gods of medicine and health. They were also important. We have to remember that during Rig Vedic period, Rudra was not very important god. Once again, when I say important god, it was not about the power or the respect. It was basically the number of hymns or the number of sukta that were dedicated for praising these gods. So when we compare Rudra or Shiva with, let's say, the most prominent gods like Indra and Agni, the number of hymns or the number of sukta that were dedicated for praising Rudra were very less. That is why we came to the conclusion that Rudra or Shiva was basically a minor god during early Vedic period, and also he was relatively less important compared to the other gods like Indra, Agni, Varuna and Vayu. This is important because if you compare Rig Vedic period with, let's say, today many Hindus believe that Shiva as well as Vishnu are actually the most prominent gods within Hinduism. Of course, there are other gods and goddesses within Hinduism and they are also considered very important. But mostly it is Shiva and Vishnu that are considered as most important gods today. However, this was not the case during early Vedic period. Both Shiva as well as Vishnu were considered as minor gods during early Vedic period. And compared to these gods, Indra as well as Agni were considered as very prominent. So please observe the difference between early Vedic period and today's Hinduism. We must also note that Rudra was basically the term that was used in early Vedic period. The Shiva god actually only came later. Let me tell you once again at this point, since this lecture is associated with religion, we are only going to stick with the material that is available in the important books for UPSC exam. We are not going into theology. And let me tell you, I am not an expert on religion. Let's go forward. Yama was basically the god of justice. Moreover, he was also considered as king of the dead. Even today, Yama or Yamaraj basically is considered as a god of justice and also the king of the dead. Rig Veda also talks about some goddesses. For example, Aditi, who was the goddess of dawn. Dawn is nothing but morning. We also have other goddesses like Sinivali and Ushas who were very important within the early Vedic period. However, we must note that these goddesses were less prominent compared to the male gods. Again, when I say less prominent, I mean that number of hymns which were dedicated for praise of these goddesses were less compared to other gods like Indra or Agni. That is why we say less prominent. So in the Rig Veda, people worshipped natural forces. For example, sun was worshipped as Surya god. Similarly, moon, rivers, mountains, rains were also worshipped as divinities or gods. Please try to answer this question. Consider the below statements regarding religion in early Vedic period. We have 3 statements here and the question is which of the above pairs are not correct. The first statement is Shiva or Rudra was the most prominent god in Rig Veda. The second statement is Agni was considered as an intermediary between gods and people. The third statement is early Vedic Aryans practiced idol worship in temples. If you know the answer to this question, please answer in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. You can download this presentation from our Telegram channel. The name of the channel is IAS Project. You can find the link for this channel in the description section below. Thank you.